Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, respected Mahasangha. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here this morning in this temple. This is my first time here. This is my first time present here in this temple. And I wasn't gonna go because I have a lot of things to do, but my brother monk, he sit right there on that chair. He is one of the Walk for Peace members, and as everyone know that now he come here to reside here at this temple, and therefore in support of our members take some time to be here, even though I told him that I won't stay long. He said yes, no problem. During the 112 days of the Walk for Peace journey, we talk about loving kindness, we talk about compassion and peace and mindfulness. So after came back from the Walk for Peace, now I think it's a month now. It's a month now. How many of us that still practicing mindfulness and the peace message? Okay, a lot of us still practice. So how was our days since the February 14 until now? How was it? Peaceful. We be able to know our thoughts, our speech, and our action. We be able to manage all those. Yes.
Yes.
Our mind is running back and forth every single moment, right? And it is very difficult for us to see it. But if you be able to see all those thoughts running back and forth and be able to manage it, then you are at peace and you are in a safe place of your mind, because a lot of people out there, they could not do that. They can't even see the breath for just one breath going in and out. And now if you be able to do all that, means you're very well, you practice well, and that is how we should live. That is how we should live in this world. Especially, there's a lot of conflicts going on, war, and a lot of problems around us. If we not be able to manage our feelings, our emotions, then of course we'll go back to our old days and suffer again. So for us to see our thoughts, to see our speech and our actions, which one is useful, which one is wholesome, which one is unwholesome, that is a difficult task that we need to practice every day in order for us to gain that knowledge, that wisdom. Without practicing, we couldn't do that. Since I came back to the temple, we have visitors every day. We have visitors every day to the temple. A lot of them was be able to get back on track because of them being suffered for a long time. And just after during the walk and now after the walk, there's something for them to do, something for them to practice, to move forward. And I know that during the walk and until now, a lot of people still not knowing what to do. Still still not knowing what to do and still struggle with finding peace and seeing our breath. It's actually very normal that we cannot find it. It's because we still chasing the outside world. We're still chasing for it. That is why we cannot see our breath. When we still have expectations, we cannot find peace. When you're willing to let go of all those expectations, peace will be with you. Unfortunately, most of the human beings, we always expect things. For our life, our families, our loved ones, our neighbors, our society, and our country, we expect a lot. Especially when you see people suffer, when you see your family members suffer, you expect something to change, right? And the more you expect, the more you suffer, because it will not go the way you expected. That is the truth. If we expect something and the outcome following that expectations, that is not the nature. The natural law is changing, impermanence. And then when we expect something to be permanent, something to go the way we expect, then we go opposite way with the natural law. Therefore, if you want to have peace for your life, you have to let go of all those expectations. Even though it's a really good expectation for your life, you still have to let it go. All we need to do is just be mindful with our thoughts, our speech, and our actions. Once you be able to stay mindful, you have peace. And anything supposed to be yours, it will come naturally, sooner or later. Because we are living in this world based on our karma. Whatever you have done in the past, neither good or bad, wholesome or unwholesome, it follows you. Life after life. Even though sometimes you don't need it, it still comes to you. If we have committed into a bad karma, when it's ripened, it will come to you regardless of where you are. And if you have done a lot of wholesome deeds, when it's ripened, it will come to you, even though if you refuse it, it still comes to you. It's just a matter of time. And all those come to you faster or slower, it all depends on you. How? It depends on how you live, how your mind reacts. If you are mindful, if you are peaceful, less defilements, all those wholesome deeds that you have cultivated in the past will have more chances to come to you, sooner, faster. If you live with defilements, all kind of defilement minds, suffer, then you are making a bridge for all the bad karmas to come to you faster and sooner. And once it comes, you cannot reject it. You have to take it. That is when you suffer. And now, when you suffer, you look for a way to escape. But there's no way to escape except accepting it and practice to bring a peaceful mind back to yourself, to live without defilements, then that is when you can escape. But people don't know how to do that. That is why and where mindfulness comes in place. If you live with mindfulness, then all those bad things in life, it could come, it will come. We cannot stop all those because, when it's ripened, when it's the right time, right condition, it will come. But then you receive it in a different way. You don't react like before. You just accept it happily and move on. For most of the people, they don't accept that. They don't want that. They refuse it. They try to find a way to go against it. That is why their suffer become double and triple. Right? So as a Buddhist followers and the one who practice to liberate all kind of sufferings, we have to be mindful. We have to practice mindfulness, like I have talked about this many days during the walk, throughout the walk. Without mindfulness, there will be no peace in this world. And you have to bring peace to your world first, inside of you. That is your world. You have to make that world be at peace first. And then the outside world will come along. Will follow that, right? So I hope that this message will continue and all of you will continue walking every day, because this is our task. Even though the walk ends already a month ago, but that is just the beginning, right? We are walking every day. We still have to walk every day because there's still a long journey for us to go, to walk, to bring peace to this world. So I hope that you all will continue with this practice. And every day, don't forget to write down the statement, today is going to be my peaceful day. So that it can remind you better throughout your day. May you all be well, be happy, and be peaceful. Thank you.
There is a profound and familiar silence that settles over us when a great journey comes to an end. Imagine the feeling of returning home after a life-altering pilgrimage, perhaps a 112-day walk dedicated entirely to the cultivation of peace. While you were out there, stepping softly upon the earth, the world likely felt incredibly clear. The teachings of loving kindness, deep compassion, and unwavering mindfulness were not just abstract concepts. They were the very rhythm of your breath and the ground beneath your feet. But then, the grand journey concludes. You unpack your bags, return to your kitchen, open your inbox, and step back into the rushing river of modern life. A week passes, then a month. The quiet dust of the ordinary settles around you. It is in this exact moment, on a regular Tuesday morning amidst the gentle chaos of your daily routine, that a vital question gently taps on the door of your heart. How many of us are still practicing that peace? It is one thing to feel profoundly connected and serene when we are surrounded by fellow seekers, removed from the frantic noise of society. It is an entirely different undertaking to maintain that same sense of tranquility when we are stuck in gridlock traffic, navigating a tense conversation with a family member, or feeling the heavy crush of the daily news cycle. The true measure of our spiritual endurance is not found on the mountaintop or the open road. It is discovered right here, in the messy, beautiful, complicated reality of our everyday American lives. When the grand event is over, we are left with the gentle, sometimes daunting realization that the real work has only just begun. We are invited to ask ourselves how our days have been since we returned from our metaphorical mountaintops. Have we been peaceful? Have we been able to truly know our thoughts, our speech, and our actions, managing them with the same care we would use to hold a delicate flower? For many of us, the honest answer is a quiet, humbling no. And that is perfectly okay. It is the starting point of true mindfulness. This realization brings us face to face with the sheer velocity of our own minds. If we sit quietly for even a moment, we will immediately notice that our minds are constantly running back and forth, sprinting from the past to the future in every single moment. We mentally rehearse conversations that haven't happened yet, we agonize over mistakes we made a decade ago, and we endlessly draft mental to-do lists while we are trying to listen to our children speak. This monkey mind, as it is so often called, is exhausting. It is like living next to a busy, multi-lane highway where the cars never stop rushing by, and we are constantly trying to run across the traffic. It is very difficult for us to even see this happening because we are so deeply embedded in the noise. We mistake the traffic for our own identity. But mindfulness offers us a different way to live. It invites us to step off the highway and simply sit on the grassy embankment, watching the cars go by without feeling the need to chase them. If you are able to see all those thoughts running back and forth, the anxieties, the planning, the judgments, the fears, and simply observe them without being swept away, you have discovered a profound superpower. You are suddenly in a safe place within your own mind. You are no longer the chaotic traffic, you are the quiet observer of the road. This is an incredibly rare state of being in our modern world. So many people out there are suffering simply because they cannot do this. They are entirely at the mercy of their unexamined thoughts. They cannot sit still long enough to follow a single breath going in and out of their bodies. If you can take a moment to pause, to watch your thoughts rise and fall like waves on a beach, you are practicing well. You are cultivating a sanctuary within yourself. This is how we are meant to live. Especially in a world that often feels fractured by conflict, loud disagreements, and immense global pain, managing our own internal emotional landscape is not a luxury, it is an absolute necessity. If we cannot manage our feelings and our emotions, we will inevitably fall back into our old habits of reactivity, and we will suffer deeply once again. Discerning which thoughts are wholesome and useful, and which are unwholesome and destructive, is a difficult, daily task, but it is the very essence of wisdom. Without this daily practice, we simply remain lost in the noise. Yet, even when we understand the value of this quiet observation, many of us still struggle deeply to find our breath. We sit down, close our eyes, and feel utterly lost. We wonder why peace feels so elusive, why the simple act of breathing feels like a complicated chore. The wisdom of the mindfulness tradition offers a deeply compassionate answer to this struggle. It is actually very normal. The reason we cannot find our breath, the reason we cannot locate our own inner stillness, is because we are still frantically chasing the outside world. We are living in a culture that glorifies the chase. We are taught from a very young age that happiness, security, and peace are things we must pursue, acquire, and defend. We chase promotions, we chase the perfect home, we chase social approval, and we chase an idealized version of our own lives. When our energy is entirely thrust outward, grasping at the horizon, it is impossible to feel the subtle, gentle rising and falling of our own chests. We cannot see our breath because we are not looking for it, our eyes are strained on the distance. To find peace, we must be willing to stop running. We must realize that the peace we are so desperately seeking out there in the world is actually waiting for us right here, in the very center of our own being. When you finally stop chasing the external validations and allow yourself to simply sit in the reality of the present moment, you realize that your breath has been there all along, faithfully keeping you alive, waiting for you to notice it. It is the most reliable anchor we have in a chaotic universe. Returning to the breath is not about ignoring the outside world or pretending that our responsibilities do not exist. It is about fundamentally changing our relationship to those responsibilities. When we are grounded in our breath, we engage with the world not from a place of frantic scarcity, but from a place of quiet abundance. We stop running after life, and we simply allow life to unfold around us while we remain deeply, peacefully rooted in the present. The greatest obstacle to this rooted peace, however, is the heavy burden of our own expectations. If we look closely at the root of our daily frustrations, our angers, and our deep sorrows, we will almost always find an expectation that has not been met. We are human beings, and we care deeply. Because we care, we naturally formulate visions of how things ought to be. We expect our children to behave in certain ways, we expect our spouses to understand us without speaking, we expect our careers to follow a linear upward trajectory, and we expect our society to act with justice and logic. We expect so much. This is especially true when we look at the people we love. When we see our family members suffering, making mistakes, or struggling to find their way, we desperately want things to change for them. We expect them to heal on our timeline. But here is the difficult, liberating truth. The more you expect, the more you will suffer. Life rarely follows the neat, predictable scripts we write for it in our heads. When we cling to our expectations, we are essentially demanding that reality conform to our imagination. We are holding our breath, waiting for the world to perfectly align with our desires before we allow ourselves to be happy. This is a recipe for endless heartache. If you want to experience genuine peace, you have to do the brave, vulnerable work of letting go of those expectations. Even the good ones. Even the beautiful hopes you have for your loved ones. You must open your clenched fists and let those expectations fall to the earth. This does not mean you stop caring, nor does it mean you stop working for positive change. It means you love people exactly as they are in this moment, rather than loving a future, idealized version of them. It means you engage with life as it is actually happening, not as you wish it were happening. When you are willing to let go of your rigid expectations, a profound spaciousness opens up within you. Peace rushes in to fill the void left by your demands. You suddenly realize that you do not need the world to be perfect in order to be peaceful. This letting go leads us naturally to a deep befriending of the universe's most fundamental rule, the law of impermanence. When we expect things to go a certain way and stay that way forever, we are fighting a losing battle against the very nature of existence. Everything changes. This is the natural law. The seasons shift, the rivers carve new paths through the stone, the morning fog burns off into the afternoon sun, and the cells in our bodies continuously regenerate. Nothing is static. Yet, the human ego is terrified of this constant motion. We build massive emotional structures to create the illusion of permanence. We want our joy to last forever, our youth to never fade, and our relationships to remain frozen in their most beautiful moments. When we expect something to be permanent, we are walking in the exact opposite direction of natural law. We are trying to hold water in our hands. The tighter we squeeze, the faster it slips through our fingers. Mindfulness teaches us to stop squeezing. It teaches us to stand quietly in the river of time and feel the water rushing past our ankles, marveling at the flow rather than trying to build a dam. When you truly accept impermanence, life becomes incredibly vibrant. You realize that because every moment is fleeting, every moment is profoundly precious. You cherish the laughter of a friend, the taste of a warm meal, and the quiet of a morning sunrise because you know it will not last forever. And beautifully, this law also applies to our pain. When you are in the midst of a dark, difficult season, impermanence is your greatest comfort. You know that this, too, shall pass. The storm will eventually run out of rain. By aligning ourselves with the reality of change, we stop resisting the natural flow of our lives. We become flexible, resilient, and deeply peaceful. We learn to ride the waves of life with grace, rather than standing rigidly on the shore and allowing the waves to knock us down. Understanding the flow of life also requires us to understand the echoes of our own actions. In the Buddhist tradition, this is understood as karma, but in our everyday lives, it is simply the profound reality of cause and effect. How we live, how we speak, and how we act leaves a profound imprint on the world and on our own hearts. The energy we put out into the universe inevitably finds its way back to us, life after life, moment after moment. If we spend our days planting seeds of anger, resentment, and judgment, we cannot be surprised when we eventually find ourselves walking through a dense, thorny forest of our own making. These unwholesome deeds, whether committed in the past or in the present, follow us. They ripen when the conditions are right, and they arrive at our doorstep whether we want them to or not. Conversely, when we cultivate wholesome deeds, when we act with generosity, speak with kindness, and respond with compassion, we are planting a beautiful garden that will eventually bloom and provide us with shade and nourishment. The beautiful truth is that the speed and the impact of these returning echoes depend entirely on our present state of mind. If you are living with a mind full of defilements, if you are highly reactive, defensive, and deeply entangled in your own suffering, you are essentially building a wide, paved bridge for all the difficult consequences of your past actions to rush into your life. You amplify your own suffering. When those inevitable difficulties arise, as they do for every human being, you will react with resistance, anger, and a desperate desire to escape. But there is no escaping the reality of what is. Resistance only doubles and triples our pain. However, if you live with mindfulness, everything changes. You cannot stop the difficult moments from arriving. Sickness, loss, and heartbreak will still knock on your door, but you receive them in a completely different way. You do not react like you used to. You open the door, look the difficulty in the eye, accept it as a part of the human experience, and you move forward with grace. You do not add the secondary suffering of wishing things were different. You simply accept what is, and you practice bringing your peaceful mind back to center. This is the ultimate liberation. It is the ability to stand in the fire without catching fire. This deep internal work is not just a personal wellness project, it is the very foundation of a peaceful world. We look around at the news, at the divisions in our communities, and at the global conflicts that break our hearts, and we desperately want world peace. But we fundamentally misunderstand how world peace is built. Without mindfulness, there will never be peace in this world. You cannot create a peaceful society with a population of agitated, angry, and unhealed individuals. You have to bring peace to your own world first. The quiet space behind your eyes, the rhythm of your own heart, the tone of your own voice, that is your world. You have absolute jurisdiction there. You must make that internal world a place of profound peace first. When you do that, the outside world naturally begins to follow. You become a pebble dropped into a still pond, sending ripples of calm, compassionate energy outward into your family, your workplace, and your community. This is why the walk for peace never truly ends. A 112-day pilgrimage is a magnificent achievement, but it is ultimately just a warm-up. It is just the beginning. The real journey happens every single morning when your feet hit the floor. We are walking every day. We still have a long, beautiful, challenging journey ahead of us to bring genuine peace to this earth. It requires our daily, devoted attention. It requires us to gently catch our wandering minds, to reclaim our breath from the rush of society, to drop our heavy expectations, to embrace the changing nature of life, and to meet our karma with profound grace. So, as you move forward into the beautiful ordinary of your life, let this practice be your constant companion. Wake up every morning, take a deep, grounding breath, and make a quiet, powerful commitment to yourself. Write it down, say it aloud, or whisper it in your heart. Today is going to be my peaceful day. Let that intention guide your thoughts, soften your speech, and direct your actions. In doing so, you are taking the most important step on the endless, beautiful walk for peace.